We are counting down the days of this frenzied presidential election cycle. We are now less than 100 days away from the November election. Just in the past 2 weeks, the dynamics of the race have changed a lot. The shock of an attempted assassination of one candidate, the swapping out of another. We've had time to process these things as we look ahead to November and also consider how strategies need to shift if either side is going to have the winning argument to pick up the swing voters that will ultimately decide this election. So Senator Bledsoe, I'll let you go ahead and lead the conversation here. Traditional thinking would suggest that Vice President Harris would be bringing more women voters to the polls here. As a Republican woman that's holding office, does that argument really hold merit to you?
I don't know. Women tend to vote more in general, especially if you look at Fayette County and surrounding counties. Women vote, and so I do think having a woman on the ticket matters. I think they like to see representation up there. Whether or not they'll cross on for person versus principles or issues, we'll have to wait and see.
Trump's appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists Conference, it was widely panned this week. Looking ahead long term, is that going to be something that ends up hurting him throughout the election, or is there time to distance himself? Senator Thomas.
Bodie, you know, I watched that program, and I think we have to understand that Trump gave the performance that he intended to give. He wasn't going there at all, Bodie, to try to court black voters. What he was doing, Bodie, was really speaking to his base and feeding them what they wanted to hear. His antagonistic, very mean-spirited approach toward the black journalists and comments, that was all intentional. That was just Donald Trump feeding to his base. So, look, after 8 years, I know who Donald Trump is. And so, you know, I'm not offended by that because we expected that.
Does it seem to y'all that the president or former President Trump is doubled down on some of the statements that he's made in the past week? Is that helping or harming him?
Well, Blake, I'm going to ask you this. We'll get a chance to ask you questions, but when I listen to Donald Trump talk, all I hear are very racist, very misogynistic, very mean-spirited, very hateful comments. I mean, every day when I listen to Donald Trump talk, what policy does he talk about? You know, what programs does he talk about? What does he say that I'm going to do this over the next 4 years to help the American people? You tell me what he says other than just very nasty, derogatory, critical comments to people. That's who Donald Trump is.
Well, should the conversation be focused more on policy? Is that ultimately going to be engaging voters a bit more than what we're sort of seeing right now, which seems to be a lot of surface level discussions about the qualities of the candidates themselves versus their policies?
Of course, but I see Amanda nodding her head. I'm going to let Amanda weigh in on this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think issues are the reason people should go vote. They should know that we want a secure border. They should know that we want to have public safety in our country. They should want an economic development and inflation to be reduced and financial stability. They want groceries to be cheaper and gas to be cheaper and jobs to pay well. They want affordable housing. These are issues that Republicans laid out at the RNC, and I'm sure that Democrats will lay out at the DNC, and then we should move to an actual issue-based, principle-based discussion. We get caught up in a lot of identities. Will women vote for women? I hope they vote for more than women. I hope that most people take a time, and they have now time, especially in the social media world, when you can get online and find people's positions and find their issues and actually take the time to research that and then go vote for that.
Do you think that the messaging that you're seeing from the Trump-Vance camp right now is working? Because there's not a lot of discussion, it seems, about the cost of groceries right now, but more focused on we're upset with who's at the top of the ticket on the other side.
Here's what we're hearing today, Bodie. We're hearing from J.D. Vance saying that women who don't have children should not count in our society. That's the message he's been giving over the last week. Trump's message is, well, I don't know what Kamala Harris is. Is she an Indian? Is she black? You know, what difference does that make what her ethnicity is? He's not talking about what people want to hear. But that's the message we're getting from the Republican ticket. And when you're criticizing people, you know, because they don't have children, even though they want children, or you're talking about comments that are racially biased, you're not doing a good job of courting votes.
Very quickly, would you agree that doesn't help pick up swing voters?
I don't think it does, and I also think it's what the media is putting out there quite a bit. Both of those have done other interviews and longer interviews and talked about actual issues, but it sure makes for good sound bites and gets everybody worked up.